Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unplanned Hour, the new podcast of completely random chat. I'm your host, Brad.
And I'm Charlie, and it's absolutely brilliant to finally be on this podcast with you, mate. Seeing as this is the first podcast that we're doing, first episode, we're going to let everybody know a little bit about how we met, and we'll go from there.
Oh, mate, like you say, nerves are going a little bit on this first one, but no, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And like you say, let people know the background. I mean, funny, our backgrounds, originally quite different, weren't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
But we ended up at the same school, and at the beginning, to be fair, we had different friendship groups. So we didn't even hang around originally, and it wasn't until we was in the same class where we started to know each other's sense of humour was literally identical. I mean, I think, and you could probably correct me on this, was it English class?
Yeah, it would have been, mate. English, year 7. Miss Messon, I think her name was it? I can't remember.
That rings a bell.
I can't remember.
That name definitely rings a bell.
But yeah, it was definitely year 7 English class. And it was, oh man, the laughs we had. We were the class clowns, weren't we, to be fair? Everyone
Honestly,
came to us for the laughs, not the answers. We were the laughs.
Literally. God, if you came for us to answers, unless you want something Saki saying, then you won't be coming to us for that, honestly. It's just absolute. And I know we're in some other lessons, but I know specifically, I always remember English class because that linked into... Oh, mate, honestly, some amazing trips that all went on. And trips. I'm sure you can say it. What was the trip, the first trip that we really sort of bonded on?
It, don't you? Bonded on. Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah, Paris trip. Yeah, well, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And the thing is, we didn't even sit next to each other at the start.
No, you're right.
I sat next to Rav, and you might have been sitting next to Rich.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I was sat next to Rich. Yeah,
and I think honestly, mate, I think it was probably when we got to Calais and we got on the boat, we started interacting and having a laugh, and we were like, right, not sitting next to these two anymore.
I think, yeah. You know what? Now you've said it, yeah, it was because it was on that ferry crossing, wasn't it? And I think definitely. we sort of went off and did our own thing, and then we'd said, haven't we? When you have to get back on the coach at the other end.
Yeah, not sit next to these.
I know, we literally waited for them to get back, and then I think me and you got on, and then I think they both rocked on, didn't they? We're like, what's going on? We're like, yeah, we've swapped seats now, lads. You're over there. See you later.
Yeah, sorry. But now you say about Rich and Rav, they had a bit of a strange friendship, didn't they? And I think you can elaborate a little bit more on this.
Well, funny one, guys, on this one. So, background. Obviously, going on this trip, you had to pick a group. I can't remember the group size, but you had to have a few of you because you'd all be... So you had to originally go in pairs because that's when you'd be sitting on like the coach and stuff. And then when you was getting there, you had to split into groups of, I don't know, let's say you'd have, 2, 4, 6... Between 6 and 8 of you, because you'd be sharing a room.
I'm sure there was 6 in our room.
It's got to be something like that, hasn't it?
5 or 6, I think it was.
So we picked and we were like, okay, so, we'll go up with, obviously, like Rav, Rich, and a couple of others that were in our room. And anyway, so we've gone up to the room, obviously put the stuff off and whatever. And like the first day was, like, I think pretty boring. It was like the introduction to, like, the place that we were staying because it was educational, quote. So that first day was a bit whatever, and I can remember there was a lot of people that were quite tired. So a lot of people going, I'm going to go and have a nap, get my head down a bit. Obviously, us two were like, yeah, cool, see you later, like we're off. Yeah. So we went exploring, and obviously there'll be more on the exploring bit. But the funny bit is, we got back to the room. And I think we're only nipping in the room briefly.
We were.
And there were not many people about. And then all of a sudden, we just cracked the door open. And Rav and Rich are having a cuddle in this bed. Now, I'm not insinuating anything here, but maybe it was just a bit cold in the room. But to walk in, oh my God, honestly, crying.
Oh, man. And the thing is, we both saw it as well. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that there was some definite cuddling going on in that room.
Honestly. And they like jumped up as well. Like we just obviously ran out. Obviously, you can imagine crying with laughter at this point, and we were like, "Oh my god!" Blah blah blah. They jumped up. We didn't let them live it down for the whole trip.
What are we? We're only like 12 or 13 at this point.
It's around that, isn't it? Yeah, it's got to be around that age. So we're obviously thinking,
what's going on here, boys?
That's it. Obviously being young and very immature on stuff.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, most definitely.
Two young lads, you latch onto anything when you're bantering, and
oh dear.
You've started on one there because you've just given us all the ammo now.
Oh yeah, they definitely got a bit of stick from us.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
It was brilliant. And you know what? I can even remember there was we went into that disco. Can you remember going into the disco?
Disco.
And there was all different schools there, and the song, and it was a Flow Rider song, and you can probably remember it. And I think it was the first time we ever came up with that dance that we always used to do.
It's starting to come back now. It's starting to come back now. I'm trying to think now. Brilliant. Oh, mate. Because that was on the site, wasn't it, where we were staying? That was on the disco, mate, wasn't it?
It must have been 2, 3, 4 of the schools.
I think you're right, because...
In this disco. And the room was tiny, mate, wasn't it? It was. If you can remember, it was a tiny little disco hall.
Yeah. Because I remember, because they had like a main hall bit, didn't they, where everyone sort of... When everyone arrived, everyone went to this main hall bit to like check in or whatever, and then we can remember looking and going, God, there's quite a few people for a small site. And then obviously thinking as well, when you do your little run around and your little tour of site, and then seeing what they said was like the little disco room, and I'm like, that's tiny.
It was mad. The size of the room for the amount of people that were there, like a sweatbox.
Oh, mate,
it was horrendous.
Literally, and it was always like meeting up. And then the teachers would be like, "Oh, you've got to stay in your groups that you're roomed up together. Make sure, right, go and explore the site. Go and do this. But make sure you stay in your groups, and you've got to report back at this time." Me and you were like, "Yeah." Anyway, group. See you later. We're off. And then we just went.
Hey, we'd have been cuddling with Richard and Rav.
Yeah. Oh my!
I'd have put you in first, though.
Yeah, I'd have been the little spoon.
Oh. Big sandwich.
Oh, mate, can you imagine?
Oh, dear.
God. Yeah, shout out to you guys if you ever listen to this and you can remember that moment. Sorry for the reminder.
Yeah. Look, and if you say you weren't cuddling, we definitely
were. Yeah, don't deny it. You definitely was.
And you know what? Now, while we're on the subject of the Paris trip, and you'll definitely remember this because you had a fly zapper, that tiny little fly.
That little, yeah. Was it a little orange one? Wasn't it? I think.
Tiny one, and you were zapping everybody with it. Oh, absolutely, everybody.
I can't even remember where that came from. I don't know if I brought it with me or whether I bought it from a shop or. I can't even remember, but I remember it being there and absolutely causing chaos with that.
Oh, it was funny. It was funny. Zapping everyone on the legs.
Absolutely, on the run around.
That was hilarious.
And that's the thing as well, like, the context of all of this, like, even at that, when we're going on the trip, we weren't hanging out at school at this point.
No,
like, to point that out to people, like, to where we are now, like, where we're basically brothers, at that moment, we still didn't have the same friendship group.
No.
And all of that at the beginning there, we're still... we don't know each other like as good mates do know each other. We're still quite, getting to know. So even from that bit there, getting on the coach, kicking people out the seat so that we can sit there, obviously me and you disappearing off, was literally right at the beginning still of basically getting to know each other and realising it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then, geez, we must have spoke for a good few months after the Paris trip. And that's when we really started hanging out at school, and it sort of blossomed from there. Like, and then obviously we were going out after school on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Literally,
that was it. Yeah, we spent all the weekends together.
Because I remember, sort of, obviously with the Paris trip thing, obviously linking out that we just said. I remember obviously at the beginning when me and you started hanging out, because obviously. We lived in different areas, so you could walk it, but obviously if the weather weren't great, it'd be a bus journey between the areas that we lived. And I always remember Friday, we'd finish school, go back to mine, get changed, and then either walk across, obviously, the green. I'm not going to say the names, but the same green that you walk over to then obviously link up and whatever. And I always remember at the beginning, because I pretty much lived at your house at weekends, didn't I?
Oh, mate. Oh, yeah. We used to, Friday night, what did we do? We used to go to Shisha for a couple of hours and run off without paying.
yeah.
We probably still owe him a few quid.
The dodgiest shisha place you'd ever go to. Like, literally, we'd walk down. So the area that it was a known, like, dodgy area.
It was fairly rough. It was fairly rough out there.
It weren't one that you'd want to be walking around.
No.
Like, because it was on the edge of where we were living. We lived in a nice area, but obviously it was just right next to a dodgy one. The people that know us know, like, where we are. They'll know where.
Yeah.
And you go down in this road, and honestly, this place, kebab shop at the front, and then you'd have to walk into the kebab shop, down into another little door that takes you down the back. And bearing in mind, there's nothing like signage-wise. It's just you walk into this dingy corridor, and you're like, I don't know if I'm meant to be walking here. Follow the corridor down, little door on your left. As soon as you open that, you're into like a courtyard bit, which they used as a shisha bar. And most of the time, it was just me and you there, wasn't it? Because it wasn't that well known.
It was so dark, wasn't it? It was like, you wouldn't have known it was there.
You
never had any lights on. Dark leather sofas.
How did we even find it? I can't even remember.
I have no idea.
Probably just us wandering about, because we literally were all over the place.
Yeah, and then we smoked shisha for a couple of hours.
Literally.
Chatted up by the man that was serving us a couple of times, if you remember that.
Oh my God.
He was a very, very, very peculiar man.
He was a fruity bloke. Would come over, obviously knew the order, so obviously we always used to get guava, because that was the flavour that was... Some flavours, if you've ever gone shisha, you know some flavours, make you feel sick straight away. Guava was just dead easy.
So smooth.
Dead easy to have. So guava, obviously come to the point, we're going every week, so he knew. He's like, guava shisha, yeah, guava, blah, blah. And then, the more he was going, the more he's coming over and like just suspect. So it's like, can I start your shisha for you? And we're like, crack on, mate. You do what you need to do. That's no problem to me, mate.
So strange, mate. And then you probably remember the time as well, mate, where, because we used to sit in the same seats every single time, and we had the heater on above us, and it was red hot. And that time he came over to us, and he was just chatting normally, and he was like, "Are you two together?" Remember? And we were like, what's this guy on about?
Oh my God. I'm like, mate, you know what? Whatever, but you're getting the wrong idea here, mate. Just do the shisha and leave it be.
Yeah. And then he put his music on, didn't he? I give him that. He did put music on occasionally.
Yeah, at one point I remember he did start putting some music on for us. Always heater on in the winter time for us, and obviously 100%. We had that little corner to ourselves, didn't we?
Every time,
best place to sit. Even as you said earlier, there were times where, obviously being young as well, so I'm just going to put it out there. These things, we were young and stupid.
We will pay them back.
Yeah, the payment's in the post. I promise.
I promise.
We'll just get up. We'll be like, yeah, we're going, mate. Or what? Yeah, I dare you start running first. Yeah, all right, cool.
See ya.
Off you go. See you later. And then, obviously, we'd be crying as we're like legging it out from this play. Never going to get chased, but like you just cry and laughter. And then come to the next week, and we'd be like, quite fancy shisha again, mate. What you saying?
And he actually always let us in, didn't he? He never turned us away. He was always quite welcoming.
Sometimes you'd have the odd, like, some of the other lads would come with us if they were free on the Friday. So, like, we'd, like, rock up after, like, if we had legged it or whatever. And then, like, we'd be like, sorry, mate, did the other lads not pay? Did they said that they were getting it. And he's like, no, you definitely just ran off. I'm like, promise, mate, we come all the time. We definitely would have just legged it from you.
So the moral of the story, people, is always blame your other mates.
Yeah. Never take responsibility.
Yeah. Especially the way we did. Let them take the blame. So we could enjoy our shisha.
Exactly. We got our enjoyment, and other people probably got a lifetime ban from that place. But
now, the next thing, mate, that you'll remember, and this most definitely linked us together even better, was the super combo meal from Kebabish. And that was one of the best combo meals you could ever get.
Honestly, right? So, Kebabish, right? Again, in a dodgy area.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I think it was one of them. I got the leaflet through the post, and we used to order from quite a few different places, didn't we? Like, it was the routine. And honestly, got this place, super combo meal, and we both started eating the pizza. Incredible. And it's that good. Honestly, I used to tell everybody about it. I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing over it. And then everybody I told about were all on the same wavelength. So routine would always be shisha. Obviously have that for whatever, go back. So again, as I said earlier, I lived at Charlie's house every weekend. Like, his parents at the beginning were like, right, Brad, are you around again? I'm like, sorry, second parents. It's a routine now. You're going to have to, shout out your parents, mate, because top tier. If you're listening, if you are listening to this, amazing people. Just want to shout that a little bit out because you are top tier parents. I aspire to be parents like you. But I can remember, they were always like, God, Brad, you're here again. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a routine now for the next many years. So
a long time.
You best just get beds ready for me every weekend because that's what's going to be happening now.
Mate, we were even like, because we used to let everybody know, we used to go on the Xbox all the time. We used to play in the Champions League, if you can remember, till about 6 o'clock in the morning. And we used to take the kettle from the kitchen into the living room and have a coffee at whatever time just to keep us going. 6 o'clock in the morning, lights coming up. Yeah, we'll call it a day now.
Absolute career mode, mate. On the FIFAs through all the years, career mode was iconic. Starting with linking in one of the ones that you probably know where I'm going with this. Yeah,
I know where you're going.
Our little run that we did with a lower league team. Yeah. Doncaster.
Oh,
now
absolutely unreal.
Iconic for us because
unreal.
We always used to listen to the song, and some of you may know it, "Caravan of Love," right?
Oh, mate.
And we switched that at the time, right? It was going a bit viral in our life.
Yeah.
And we then used that song and put it into our Doncaster Rovers career mode. So, of course, it would just be us two singing this song. And it'd be like, obviously, the chorus bit were like, Rovers, Rovers, Rovers.
And the thing is, mate, we actually sang the whole song and we had verses to the whole song. I can't remember the verses right now, but the chorus, I remember that like it was yesterday. That was unbelievable times.
Your parents, honestly, must have been crying with laughter listening to me and you because we weren't quiet, even though we'd like shut the doors and that. We would be, if we're singing, right, we are singing top of our voices on that song because we're just buzzing that we've made this song up. And then obviously career mode for any of you lot that game, and if you do play FIFA, you'll know how irritating the game is. And you can imagine Doncaster Rovers Cup run playing Barcelona in like semi-finals, and Bayern Munich used to be the toughest one. You can imagine when we're conceding a goal and it's solid, we are screaming,
snapping the remotes in half with rage.
Honestly, like
good times.
Lack of sleep, gaming after being out and about on the shisha. Honestly, when
perfect,
you school kids, you've literally got no worries at all, and that was a routine for us. Like in our teen years, was just like you say, going to school. As soon as we finished school in the week, we'd probably be on Xbox Live, probably.
Yeah.
And then Friday, Charlie would come to mine because I live further away, so we normally he'd either sometimes jump on the bus or we'd just go for a walk because we used to walk everywhere. Walk, bit of a trek to mine, nip in, get changed, back to where obviously Charlie lived, and then the whole weekend was just set up.
It was amazing. It was. And while you're on about, when we used to come to your house, I won't say the name of the place where we used to go and get a kebab from, but you'll remember it. And they used to load a tiny little kebab, and the meat used to be overflowing.
I Couldn't believe it the first time I got one. And I just, because obviously, as you know, it was only 5-minute walk from my house at the time.
Yeah, it was so close.
So obviously for me, it was my local. And I used to obviously walk there myself if I weren't ordering or whatever. And I just rock in one time, ordered one. Can remember, like, again, kebabs were like this big thing for us as teens. And, you know, surprised we're not bigger than what we are.
No, we're honestly, we're not that greedy.
Yeah, it sounds quite mad, but yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, mate, honestly. And then like the subject of conversation would be how big these kebabs are.
It was ridiculous.
Honestly, it'd be like, right, mate, I'm coming round and I'm going to get one, and that'd be it. So if we were at my house, that was the place where we'd walk down to and get it, and then
just unbelievable times, mate. Unbelievable times. We'd do that, like you said, Friday, Saturday, play football Sunday, back to school Monday. The cycle just kept going and going and going, and that was our life.
It was honestly incredible. So like that being young, and even like so our outside of school routine was as it was, and we can expand on that. We'll obviously let you guys know like more things that we was doing. And then in school, obviously, was hanging at this point then. So we've got past like the lower years in school. So obviously by this point, like we're good mates. We're always hanging about. So of course, we know our banter is on point for how we are, right? So I think, what would we have been for the geography trip?
Oh dear. Now I might be wrong. I think we were year 10.
That's what I had in my head.
14.
About 14, I think.
Like
14, 15, depending on...
Yeah, something like that.
When you were. So, yeah, I think year 10, geography trip. Now, honestly, this trip, the trip itself, because it was to Shrewsbury, so...
Yeah, not the greatest place.
Not an amazing place, really. Yeah, I don't want to offend any of you from Shrewsbury, but for us being kids, might have improved now. I'm sure it's a lovely place now.
It might have.
Back when we were kids and looking for stuff to do, it was dead. And the place that we stayed at, again, because it was some
in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Some learning place, random. It just for schools to go to. But honestly, some of the stuff now. You'll know exactly what I mean from this saying that I'm going to say as one of the funny ones for us. Smash and the window's gone. Now, you know exactly what I mean by that, don't you?
Mate, and now, I don't want to out the guy or anything, but oh man, he got a terrible time for that. He got the worst time possible. Now, like, to let everybody know, I promise you, we are not bullies. We would never bully anybody. But this was probably borderline kicked out of school. So, without, ruining this person's life, we gave him a horrible time.
Shout out you.
Well, you gave him a horrible time. It wasn't me.
I was just an innocent bystander in all of this.
I just tagged along.
You basically, so shout out you if you're listening. I'm sure you're probably not.
We won't say his name.
But shout out you. He, again, correct me on this. Was he was just, I don't know if he was trying to show off to people or what.
Yeah. But he
He
wasn't
wasn't the brightest spark.
No. And he wouldn't have been a popular bloke, would he? I'm not saying that we were, but he wasn't a popular bloke. So like you said, he was most definitely showing off. And from what I can remember, a stone somehow smashed the shower windows. Oh, mate. And I think you can remember when we used to get back in the room and we used to say, what breaks windows? And then we used to say this person's name. And we were dying with laughter, weren't we? Do you remember?
Because he got in some, obviously they were looking around to find out, who did it. And of course, like in situations, if no one's owning up to it, you're going to start putting pressure on. So obviously we were was it Sill It Bang, Bang and the Dirt Is Gone, isn't it? Yeah, that was the advert, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so, of course, latching onto anything, it was like, bang, and the window's gone. And he would be raging at this point because, honestly, when we get going, it was just rolling off the tongue. We were just getting adverts and then putting it into him basically smashing this window, and he was just dead sensitive about it. And of course, we just carried on.
Everyone got like they ended up to let everybody know that the rooms ended up getting split up because we were with again. It must have been 6 people or so.
Yeah, it would have been when it's something like that.
I can't remember. And throughout all of this, the teachers decided that me and Brad weren't any part of it. So we managed to stay in the same room together, and everybody else got split up.
Absolute masters of disguise on this point.
Which was absolutely unbelievable. Which then leads us on to the next thing that happened on that trip with a little fire extinguisher in the hallway. And I'll let you explain this one.
I had nothing to do with that. I don't want to talk about it.
It was nothing to do with me either. Yeah. I got cleared of that. It was not us.
What happened was, between us, we accidentally slipped, pulled the pin out of the fire extinguisher, and then due to a gravitational force, we fell and set it off and sprayed it all over the corridor. Yeah.
So there was one initial spray, which I can't remember who did it. That's obviously because you slipped. And then because you slipped, you tripped me. And then I pressed it again. And then the whole corridor filled with smoke.
But
powder.
The whole thing on this is trip hazards.
Yeah, you know.
Am I right, guys?
Exactly. Guys, please always make sure when you're near fire extinguishers to check the floor because it's so dangerous.
Honestly, if you trip, you catch the pin with your finger, your body weight goes down because of gravity, you know, you press it.
And the pins aren't hard to pull out, mate. As you know, it's just finger and whoop. And that's just what happens when you slip near a fire extinguisher.
And that's just life.
That's life. And, you know, we actually got cleared of that because they wanted us to go into separate rooms to write our reports. And me and Brad, being me and Brad, went into the same room and wrote the same thing.
We was in the same room, but it was separate.
Yeah. What have you wrote, mate, for this bit? I'm going to have to ring your parents. I'll ring them.
Honestly, he literally just walked us to a corridor and was like, there's 2 rooms in there, so make sure you go in separate rooms and write it and then come out when you're done. And then he went off, and we were like, this is incredible. We're just going to go in the same room and write the same thing then.
We got away with it. Mum, Dad, if you're listening, it wasn't me and Brad, it was the people next door.
Yeah, it was definitely some other people that tripped, and this is just a made-up story.
Yeah, but this was not us. But yeah, again, because we went in there, mate, and we were absolutely bullshitting our way through that. And he was like, yeah, you know what, lads? You are 2 very good lads, and I don't believe it was you. So,
absolute master blaggers. And because we bounce off each other as well. So I can't remember what the teacher's name was.
Story. Oh, do you know what? Mr. Rowe.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, I'm nearly sure. Oh, no. Or was it Mr. Bezic? I can't remember.
Bezic's a name that I've got in my head.
Yeah, it might have been Bezic. Whoever used to go to our school will know Mr. Bezic.
The one on our old walk, we used to go past his house.
Yes, yeah. It was him, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so if you used to go to our school, won't say it, you'll know Bezic. And he was quite timid, wasn't he, really?
He weren't a bad bloke. He obviously quite strict to some degree, but from him being around school, he was okay. As far as some of them went at our school when we went, like some of them were just gave you nothing, but he was all right.
I think we just overpowered him pretty much.
Massively.
And I'll take you on another thing on that trip, mate, and you'll definitely remember this one. Was somebody went out of the room to go to somebody else's room. Won't use names again. And somebody, can't remember who it was, locked the door. And this person who went to someone else's room came back at whatever time in the morning, banging on the door. Me and Brad are wide awake. Didn't bother getting up to let this lad into the door. And one of the other lads in our room had to get up and open the door for him. But mate, how long was he banging at that door? It must have been 10, 15 minutes.
And you've got to think as well, in that situation, right, where our room is, it weren't too far. I think we were on the top floor.
Yeah.
So they were like, obviously our room full of lads, next room full of girls. Now, it was either a room and our floor or it was one down where all the teachers were staying. So they honestly were not far away. So you can imagine being in that sort of situation. Obviously, where I'd awake, and all you can hear is, boo, 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 boo. Yo, guys, come on, open the door, man. Me and him are just crying with laughter at this point. Like,
wide awake.
I'm not moving. You open the door.
No,
I'm not going, mate. You open the door.
We just stuff. Do you know what? I just didn't want to get out of bed.
It was too funny.
Nothing against this person, but you were never getting back in the room while me and Brad were awake.
Honestly, in them situations as kids, oh, mate,
it was brilliant. It was unbelievable. Yeah. And, you know, again, back to the school days, I remember playing in the football, and I think we played the semi-final. We won't name the school, and we won't name the people from that school, arseholes. And then we'll go into the semi-final, and what happened in the semi-final in regards to, you know, your fucking unbelievable cross into the box that hit somebody in the face, and if he would have missed that, he would have got crucified.
It was so high pressure situation here, right? Because the school that we were playing, I didn't get along with a big chunk of lads that went there. Yeah. So they were all from a similar area to me. And again, the areas that I come from, not great. They're, you know what I mean? And anyone that knows me and knows where I'm from, they know me upbringing. So these lads are all from there. So you can imagine scummy lads.
Yeah.
And to be fair, right? So the lad that I initially had the issue with, me and him are sound because, you know, later on he apologised to me and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
The whole reason for, like, I won't go into it, but yeah, anyway, loads of lads, like, came to me house one time. And, there were a few of them that stood there, obviously, mouthing off and whatever. But again, none of you did anything. So you're just dickheads. Semi-final comes round. What are we on? Playing their team. Yes. I'm thinking, game on. Right. Absolute payback for this. So I hadn't been playing for the school team that many years. So I sort of joined quite late to the school team. So I wasn't probably one of the favourite players in the team. So I started on the bench. And they initially scored first, and then our team came back into it. Anyway, weren't that long into the game, to be fair, because they started to, like, control it a little bit.
It did, yeah.
So it's like, right, Brad, you're coming on. I'm like, right, here we go. Obviously, I'm running on. All the lads that are there, they know what time it is. It's game on now. So anyway, game's going on. Right, and the guy that I initially had an issue with, me and him have gone up for a header to start it. This is like pretty soon as I've come on, yeah. Just to set the tone of this. Me and him both going for a header. I jumped up. I'm not even looking at the ball. I'm just looking at him. And I just, bang, straight elbowed him in the nose. Bang, I'm like, here we go. Start it off. Ref just did nothing.
The tone.
Literally, ref didn't do anything. I'm thinking, I'm getting carded here, but nothing.
Don't even think he said anything to you.
He said nothing. He said nothing even prior to this. He said nothing. It was all of his little wannabe mates that were all the talk. So I had him for that. And then, obviously, of course, every time I got the ball, lads are basically sprinting at me, trying to grab hold of me and stuff. It's a proper scrap. But there's one lad, right, who was at the front of my door, right? So me and him had a real issue because he was one spouting off, right? And he used to puff his chest out, think he was a big man, but he didn't do anything at my door, and he shit his pants when my sister walked out the door and started having a pop at him. So shout out you for being scared of my sister. So anyway, he was acting big on the pitch. So he's got the ball, starts running. I'm sprinting after him. And then literally I'm thinking, I'm going to nail him from behind here. Turn to the side, see Charlie come across. So obviously the way they're going to be, so he's running forward, Charlie's coming across. So I'm like, I know what's going to happen here. So I've just backed off. Then Charlie just bang, wiped straight through this lad. Honestly, completely wiped him out, sent him flying off the pitch. And obviously, Charlie just got off and just, like, jogged off. And then he's, like, jumped up, started spouting.
He was fuming.
Me being me. I've started spouting at him. And then, obviously, everyone else is getting on. And it was, mate, it was a bit of carnage. And everyone's shouting at each other, aren't they?
No cards. No cards. He only said to me, don't do it again.
Yeah. I'm like, fair play. Like, fair shout out whoever that ref was, because we could have got sent off for numerous challenges.
If he is listening, mate, I will send him some money.
All refs should do like him, because in a rivalry game, right? Because this is what a rivalry game.
Oh, it was fierce, man. It was fierce, and it's just because we were the schools were close together, and then the added pressure was from obviously what you've said with these lads coming to your door. So,
oh mate, honestly, it was fantastic game.
It was,
and then we won as well to get to the final. So I was like,
we did, mate, yeah, we did. I think it was 4-1, was it, or something like that?
4-1.
I mean, yeah, we gave them a right pasting. So.
Set up a goal as well. So, like you're saying, ran up the pitch,
beautiful.
Took on the lad, took him on, went round him, sprinting with the ball, crossed it in, and then the lad who played up front, short lad,
man,
could score goals from
he could.
outside the box. He would shoot and get them in the top bins. But if he was in the box, couldn't hit a barn door. This one, basically, I've just whipped this ball in. And he basically just hit him in the face and then gone in. So he's claimed a great header. I'm like, yeah, you got lucky with that one. And
ran away rubbing his nose.
Oh, mate, honestly, what a game. What
a great game that was.
Any rivalry match, if any of you lot listening, obviously play football, you know, in a rivalry game, it gets you fired up, especially when there's like little kid issues like that.
You're just kicking lumps out of each other and nobody's it's like, yeah, whatever.
And that's it. And for stuff like that, you know, as I say, growing up in there, other people will do that. You have your little issues with people, like when you're kids over like ridiculous things. So when it comes into football and you bring that kiddie stuff in, obviously, fantastic game of football.
Mate, it was unbelievable. Great times. Great times. And, you know, I wouldn't change anything that we did in those years at school. It was the best time. And, I'd have just carried on the exact same how I was at school. You know,
100%.
And we had a good time. We didn't do fantastically well through no fault of our own.
Listen, my CV says that I've done really well. So what are you saying?
Mate, so does mine. I was an A-star student in absolutely everything. Maths, English, ICT, science, you fucking name it.
Well, remember, we got an A in geography from that trip. So
we did, mate. We did, yeah. We did. And I think the actual grade we got for that was lower than anything that they could give anybody because
it was a complete fail. But
it was.
We got an A in that, so
we did, yeah. and I've got the certificate upstairs if anyone wants to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of house moves, so I may struggle to get out my certificates for anything, but A's across the board. What are you saying? Yeah,
exactly, mate. And that's why we're directors of companies now.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a doctor and solicitor and all sorts.
Yeah, and I'm a lawyer and a bespoke bloody what's it called? Do you know what I mean? Venetian blinds. Venetian blinds. You should have helped me there. You led me on. You led me on there.
You led me down that path.
You're out of business now. I'm taking over.
You know what? I've had it up to here with you.
I'm coming off this. We're done. This is it, guys. We're finished.
Yeah, cheers for the episode, guys. I'm not doing no more. Can't stand him.
See you later. He's not getting any bloody blinds off me ever again.
Oh my God.
Dear. Now, there's another thing that's just come into my head, and this is a little bit later on, and it is when you got your first. Oh no, sorry.
Where are we going with this one?
We'll go a bit further back.
Got my first what?
When you got your first, and we'll stop there. When you got your ped.
Oh, mate.
And that was incredible.
Oh,
and, mate, what did you? Was it you did something to the exhaust? I can't.
Yeah, I bought an exhaust system. So I bought a little. What was it called? It's like a Simply little cheap ped that I got 125. Get me from A to B because you know it was easier for me to get a ped to get to work and back. And yeah, I put this exhaust on this ped, and from when I moved later on in my school life, I moved to the same areas where Charlie lived. So he lived basically a couple of roads behind where I lived. So, and you say yourself, didn't you? Like when we were both working. So obviously, again, we was like, I think at this point I was probably 17. I think for my 125.
Yeah.
So we were like doing apprenticeships and stuff.
Yeah. Just.
And I had this ped, obviously put this exhaust on it, which was loud. I mean, You know, don't you? Like, you could hit. You knew when I got home from work because you'd hear me driving up the road.
Yeah, I used to finish work earlier than you, so I used to be like, it's about 4 o'clock now, and then you used to hear this distant sound coming up, and it was getting closer, and I was like, yeah, that's Brad coming home now. So I used to text you. Can you remember? I used to text back like, yeah, I'll see you now. I'll see you in 10 minutes, mate. Just getting changed. It was madness, absolute madness. So loud.
And then the bloody thing got robbed after I went away for a week.
About that.
Sat on my driveway, nothing, and then literally I get back from this holiday, and I'm like, I'll take it out for a spin. Probably put some petrol in that. That was on a Saturday. Went out Sunday morning because for whatever reason, and it's gone. I just remember that sinking feeling of like, I'm like,
unbelievable times.
It were here, and bearing in mind, I've chained like around the wheel and stuff, but obviously they've picked it up and probably chucked it in a van because there was no like cut lock or anything on it. I was like, oh mate.
But the thing is, mate, the chain was like huge, like, and the ped's not light.
No, it was quite a heavy thing. I mean, I nearly fell off the thing a few times and had to pick it back up. So, I mean,
that's what I mean.
Can you remember that time when I lived in one of the other horrible areas and you were driving and I think you had Connor in the car and I pulled out my drive and then ended up going behind this skip and you obviously stopped, didn't you?
Yeah. I know we're laughing, but you actually didn't hurt yourself.
Oh, no. I just basically, I pulled out and then, I don't know, I think there must have been there was definitely a divot in the road.
Yeah, you bet a bit of a patch of grass.
Yeah, my handlebar's just going like this and I've just gone behind this skip to like keep balance and then, he stopped his car and then...
But you were fine.
I didn't hit anything or fall off, but like there's a few... Any of you that are driving peds or bikes, you'll know on the odd occasion, like... yeah, that was sketchy.
Yeah, and then where I used to live, it was like it was in a bit of a ring, wasn't it? And then you used to let me sit on the back of it. You used to whip me around on it. And then I always remember when you let me have a go in it, and I didn't take it above 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, you were just like, literally.
I was like, I didn't do it. Just left it to you.
That little circle bit of road that you lived on, though, was good because can you remember when you bought that blue Cinquecento?
Oh, yeah. Geez, how much was that? About 50 quid or something?
I think, honestly, you paid next to nothing.
I don't even know how I got home.
I can't even remember why you even got it, to be fair. Like,
mate, I don't.
Because you already had... I can't even remember what you was driving at that point.
It might have been like a light green Micra or something like that.
Yeah, I know you had that. You might have still been in that car.
I think I might have had it, yeah.
And it was just a shame that at the time I wasn't ready for buying a car. Otherwise, honestly, that little Cinquecento has in it around.
It was just around, like, bearing in mind, probably at this time, you probably didn't have a driving license, did you? And we were just whipping it around the estate.
No, I think I was still, I don't even know if I'd started because I didn't do many lessons when I did my license. I only did a handful of lessons and passed. But obviously, I knew how to drive a car. Yeah. For any of you that don't know, Cinquecento is basically the in-betweener's car.
Yeah.
The yellow one with the red door. And this one that we had, same car, but blue. So tinny, small, hilarious to look at. But you know what? For tazzing it around.
Decent, mate, wasn't it? It was decent. I swear to God, it must have had like a cylinder missing. But it was decent. Like, just for running around the street. If there's any police officers listening to this, we had licenses, fully insured and taxed.
These are fabricated stories for a podcast.
Yeah, we are not telling the truth. And if anybody asks, Brad was driving it, not me.
Yeah, it was definitely old Charlie over there.
Yeah, I'm not incriminating you or anything, mate, but you were driving it.
Yeah, it was definitely Dave over there. He were doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it would have been Dave, actually. Yeah. Forgot Dave.
Oh, mate, honestly. Like, some of the vehicles that we've had, though, like, in like, going from the paired to the Cinquecento, and then you probably know where I'm going to go. Some of I would probably say we'd probably both agree on our two favourite cars.
Yeah.
Mine being my Ibiza Cupra, and yours being... You got to be your Golf
The Cinquecento.
Yeah, the blue Cinquecento.
No, the Golf R. And while we're on about that Cupra, I remember we must have been on a walk, and you were on about changing your car, and we were just looking as you do, And then I came across this one in Oldham. Like, is it like 5,000 miles?
Yeah.
An ex-demo or something like that.
Ex-demo car, yeah.
And you were like, I'm having it. And then it must have been a couple of days later, we're driving to Oldham to go and pick it up.
Oh, what a drive. What a drive. And that as well, because I'd had some savings to, well, originally, as a lot of people do, I had some savings that, I had aspirations to use to buy a house and, and then once I had a breakup, I had that money there. And of course, I had a little Ibiza FR 1.4 turbo thing. And I'd always said I wanted
incredible.
Cupra, which was
because I bought that after you sold it. I got it.
The same car from the same place. And obviously, so I just went and obviously the money that I had, I used as the money to get that car, gone to Oldham. And obviously this being little Ibiza, but it's a 1.8. And as soon as you press the sports button, it sounds incredible. So obviously went out for a little test drive. Obviously doing the bits on the test drive, but you can't do too much. And then obviously finalise the paperwork, walking around Oldham thinking, I'm glad I don't live here. Sorry to any of you that are in Oldham that may be listening, but
that
must be agreeing.
Place has definitely not got better, mate.
No, that's definitely worse.
Sorry, people of Oldham, but that is not a great place.
And honestly, we got in the car after everything had been done. There was a little petrol station on the corner from where I bought it from. So I just chucked some extra fuel in because I thought I'm going to need it for this drive home. And then pulled out, got some light, obviously sports mode straight away on, got ready, got it revved up, pulled off from these lights. And honestly, the pullback, the sound and everything, obviously me being two young lads, we got to the next set of lights when I stopped and it was just looked at each of them like, oh my God.
We were like, this car is insane. And then the things that you did to it later down the line, I swear to God, people, I have never been in a car that pulls you like that, ever. And my Golf R was quick, but that Cupra was just next level quick.
It was
in gear 2, mate. You couldn't get traction.
It was just ridiculous,
incredible.
Wasn't it? My favourite car. I honestly... If I could go out now, if I had money to just get myself a little car of my own, that'd be up there because dead small, dead easy to drive, really nice inside, and an absolute sleeper because people would think, oh, it's a little Ibiza, and if you don't know about Cupra versions of it, people are like, it's an Ibiza. Yeah, cool. Race me then.
It was so powerful.
Race me to the legal speed limit of each road. What are you saying?
Yeah. From 0 to 30.
Yeah, I'll race it 30 miles an hour, but I'll get there quicker.
Mate, do you know, while we're on the subject of cars, and you'll remember this, and you probably know where I'm going to go with it, but there was that roundabout when I had the micro.
Oh, yeah.
and at this point, we didn't know the condition of the tyres on my car.
Really good.
They had loads of tread on them. So we were going to this roundabout at the speed limit, of course. And I think I took it in too high of a gear, and we were sliding. The car went silent. And if anyone's listening that has ever been in that situation, the panic that sets in is
in slow-mo.
Oh, it was
absolute slow-mo.
So scary. And then anyway, we ended up pulling in a little bit further down the road, checked the tyres, bold, but legal. They were
legal bold.
They had the legal amount of tread to be bold.
They were a legal bold for this story.
It was horrendous. That was, and while we're on about nearly crashing, I'll go on to another nearly crash that we had. We won't mention names.
I know where you're going.
Exactly.
I know where you're going.
So, me, Brad, and somebody else used to go to a gym a little bit further away, and this person used to drive us home after the gym. They'd not long past the test, had they, Brad? I think. Can't have been long.
He was after us, yeah.
And we were coming up to this church, and me and Brad had already spotted it was very narrow. There was cars parked either side, and there was a car coming down. And me and Brad had spotted it, but the person driving hadn't spotted it. And they flew into this turn. And I swear to God, Brad was sat in the front, I was sat in the back, And I was holding on to Brad like it was going to be the last moment of our lives.
I picked my feet up onto the seat, turned to Charlie as he's leaning forward, like basically grabbing on. I'm grabbing him. And honestly, I'm like, oh my God, brace yourself. My feet are up. And I'm thinking, no, we're flat packing this car. We are
Bear
done.
in mind, this car's tiny, mate, isn't it? This car's we won't say the brand because the person will probably be like, whoa. But it was a small car. And if we would have had a head-on collision, me and Brad would have been out the boot.
Oh, 100%. Most people know your little 1 litre cars that have got nothing at the front end and nothing at the back end. It's just a central bit of seats in the middle with no protection. You can all probably guess. So if he'd have crashed,
my legs would have been behind my head.
But knowing our luck, right, we wouldn't have croaked it. We'd have been vegetables and have to get fed through a tube and
you'd have been pushing me in a wheelchair. And then I'd have been pushing you. Somehow, we'd have had a little electric thing with one of them things that a caravan has, a tow bar, and we'd have just been boop, 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 everywhere.
Just dribbling everywhere.
Yeah. Potato everywhere.
Oh,
sorry if anybody's in that state. We don't discriminate.
Apologies if we've ruined your dinner if you're listening to it while you're eating. But
sorry, guys. But let's just be honest. It's not. You don't want to see it. But we don't discriminate. We're not like that at all.
Yeah, we don't do any of that. Don't worry.
No, me and Brad are very straight down the line. We're always the right side of the law.
Exactly that. That is the major point in this.
It is, and that is what we need to let everybody know. Me and Brad are always straight down the line. No bullshit.
Exactly that. As you guys will find out when we continue to tell you all about what we're doing. You'll find out how good we all are on this, and there's plenty more on that one.
There is. But the thing is, mate, and to let everybody else know, we've been friends for 17, 18 years. So we have a hell of a lot of stories, a hell of a lot of funny stories, sad stories, which we will share with everybody. That we can't, the stories we can share with everybody. There's some that we're locked away deep.
There's a few of them, but yeah, I think what Charlie's saying is right. Is ultimately the point is as people when you share stories, and as we say we're going to be doing funny, sad, all the in between. There's a lot of things, but the point is that to share experiences ultimately is a good thing. Yeah. And for people to talk is a good thing. And that's the whole point of this. Take you away from reality and offering you something that we're not celebrities. We're just two normal lads, showing off what we've been doing together, being mates as kids, experiences that I bet there's a lot of people out there have got very similar things. So you'll probably be able to put your situations into the same as what we're telling you in our things. And it just takes you away, yourself, taking you away from reality, because we're both podcast listeners to numerous different podcasts, and it takes you away from your own reality. We all know as you're growing older, it seems like yesterday I was 20 years old going out on the lash every weekend.
It does,
Time soon passes, doesn't it? Yourself, don't you?
It goes so fast, and you've got to, and you mate, you'll 100% agree. You've got to enjoy every single day that you're here. You don't know when it's going to end, so do everything you want to do and put your best effort into everything that you're doing. And, to echo what you said, mate, everybody needs to talk. If you're feeling down, like we do with each other, 100%. Open up, talk about it. Someone will always listen to you. And that's what we want to push with this podcast as well. If you are struggling, message us. We're happy to talk to you. 100%. We'll help you as much as we can. And that's a massive part of what we want to spread with this podcast as well.
That's it. You get the point across. You get stuck in a rut, and we're guilty of this. It's, for us being dads as well, it's you go to work, you come home, you're in the same routine, kids, tea, bed. Yeah. That's a routine, and there's a lot of people that are in them same boats. So we thought, why not push the boat out, start something different? People can listen to us, probably relate, but also hearing stories is funny. And we'll have, we'll have times where it's emotional. We talk about other things, and we'll push on that, and we'll be very open about our things. As we say in the name, The Unplanned Hour, we're literally just going to talk. We're not filtering stuff. You know what I mean? We're just going to talk, and hopefully it becomes something good, and you're here on the journey for this. And yeah, we're starting new things. We're pushing ourselves out there. You know, we've got the podcast now, so please, guys, you know, follow us on the socials. You'll see me posting, and you know, we've got Instagram and TikTok that we're posting on a daily basis there. So again, DM us, like, share it around, get people on. Obviously, we'll be posting updates again, all through them, uploading to YouTube, Spotify, all your streaming ones will be going on as well if you're just going to be listening, like if you're driving to work or whatever. But a quick one, just want to link in alongside the podcast. Look at the T-shirt Charlie's got on, and you see that logo there. I'll let Charlie explain this. This is a joint venture that we're having with this, which links into the whole point of us doing this podcast. Charlie, if you want to explain.
So basically, the point in Hush Club is, obviously, we're going to flog you loads of T-shirts. We want to be rich. No, jokes aside, it's basically it's a community that we want to build where we can spread a positive message through clothing. You know, with slogans on the back of the T-shirts, and it really is just to help people. If you are struggling with mental health or any other issues, just to let you know that it's okay to talk. You are worth something, and you know, if you buy one of these T-shirts, hopefully you're going to spread some positivity to somebody that's going to read it, and you'll be proud to wear it yourself. But look, we'll be working on designs, and if anybody wants to see anything specific on the back of the T-shirts, you know, let us know, and we'll make it happen.
100%. Come and join the team. Let us know anything to do with the podcast. Send us questions. Anything you want to know from us, we'll answer the questions. We'll shout you out. Get over to the clothing. It is all coming soon. We'll be updating as much as we can. We're going to be very transparent on what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you are on this journey with us. So
yeah, you're right.
With all that, for now, I mean, we could carry on, but
we could, mate. We could.
We've got to keep it for the other ones, but that wraps it up for this episode, and it feels good to get that done and dusted and out to you guys to listen. So, like I say, follow us across the socials, get on board with us, and we'll be keep doing the episodes. So, I just want to thank you all for the amazing love that you've been showing even before this one coming out. Please continue this. Thank you so much. I have been your host, Brad.
And I've been your host, Charlie. And, you know, I'm just going to echo quickly what Brad said. Thank you so much for your support so far. And, you know, hopefully things can only get better and bigger from here. So, look, keep supporting, keep liking the post and commenting and pushing it out there. It means everything to us.
100%. And right, guys, we will see you on the next one. Stay tuned for it.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys.
You never know what's next.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
And that's the point. It's a wild ride, no script, no map. Off the cuff, and we're cool with that. One good laugh, one deep thought. Buckle up, ready or not. This is the Unplanned Hour. We talk, we riff, we wander, we power. Through stories, dreams, and late night schemes. It's real life, unscripted scenes. No rules, no lines, just vibes and time. Anything can happen, it's all by design. 1 hour, no